Before we start this masterclass, I want to go through each section and show you exactly what you're going to learn. We have 50 videos in this free masterclass on podcast growth and monetization and success. So the first section is the foundation. Yes, you need your foundation before you ever succeed with your podcast. A lot of podcasters just start podcasting, which is easy, but unfortunately, it's not quite that easy to succeed once you start podcasting. Podcasting is easy, but growth and monetizing is not. And in this course, I'm going to show you how to do it totally free, right on YouTube, Spotify, and any other video platform. So the foundation is very important. Then we're going to show setup. Setup is really important also, and that is how we set up our podcast for success. Right, that's really important to know. Content engine. How you make your content. There's a lot of cool strategies for making your podcast content. You might have writer's block. You might have trouble coming up with your very next episode, whether it's video or audio. I'm going to show you how to get around that and how to solve that. Now, number 4 is very, very, very important. Podcast SEO and discoverability. Yes. A lot of podcasters are struggling to get on Google, to get on AI, to get discovered. I'm going to show you how to do everything in this section. Next is growth and community. We're going to get through growth, and you have to build a community. Your podcast won't succeed if you don't have a community. I know a lot of great podcasters out there that have communities and are doing extremely well. My community on Become a Successful Podcaster has 1,300 podcasters and growing. And those are my super fans. I'm really happy about that. We want you to have super fans. Number 6 is engagement and retention. This is very important for YouTube when you have video podcasts. It's important for Apple when you have audio podcasts, and Spotify allows both. If you don't get the engagement, you won't get the retention, you won't grow or monetize. And that brings us to number 7, monetization. You want to make money with your podcast? I got ways. I'm going to show you 5 ways to make money with your podcast, and then 5 more. The first 5 are the easiest to get into. So, but before you monetize, you got to grow, and you got the engagement and got SEO. That's the only way. And you need your community in order to monetize. These sections are not randomly ordered. They are ordered for a specific reason. Number 8 is analytics and scaling. Really important. You need to know what your analytics are, how many downloads you're getting, how many listens you're getting, where the retention drops off. Buzzsprout and Spotify will tell you, and YouTube will tell you where the retention starts dropping off. That's really important. Then you can watch your videos at that drop-off point, and you'll see exactly where they dropped off or where they stopped, where the retention just kind of died. And then we go into advanced growth, and I'll show you all that in a minute. So let's get into the actual sections. Now, the foundation, why most podcasts fail, and because we're going to make sure yours doesn't. It's really important. And by the way, I'd like you to, I want to know if you do any of these things in the comments. So let me know your thoughts. Going back, just let me know in the comments what you think of these sections over here. Am I missing anything? Are there any sections that you want to see that I can add to this course? I'm going to add to this masterclass. You tell me if I'm missing anything. So that's important. I need to hear from you. You are my community. Why most podcasts fail? I know a lot of podcasts fail. We have 1,300 podcasts on the World Podcast Network, and probably I see 10 of them succeeding. Not because of the podcast network, but because of all these other things that they may or may not be doing. So we'll go through all that. Next, to finding your podcast purpose and vision. This is really important. Most podcasts who fail don't do this. You need to know your demographics. What's the vision? Who are you trying to serve? Is it men? Is it women? Is it both? What's the age group? Demographics is very important. We'll talk about all that. And of course, the purpose of your podcast. Why are people listening to your podcast? What are you going to teach them? What are the pain points that you're solving? Pain points are very important for succeeding with your podcast. Now, know your audience like a mind reader. This goes back to what I just said about demographics. What's the gender of your audience? What is the age group? What's the marital status? What you can look up demographics, but what are their education? What's their social class? Demographics is usually, it entails about 10 different metrics. And those metrics are what we call in marketing the target market. Yes, your podcast needs the target market and you need the demographics. We're also going to talk about psychographics. That's the lifestyle of your podcast audience. Are they gay? Are they straight? Are they a totally different genre than male and female? Because we have a lot now. Are they into sports? And if they are into sports, what sports are they into? What kind of food do they love? You need to know all this. Know your audience like a mind reader. Also, technographics. This is important. We'll talk about social media. Technographics is what social media your audience is on. If you're marketing your podcast on LinkedIn and your audience is on TikTok, you're not going to grow very fast. So we're going to talk about that as well. Number 4, in the foundation, find and stick to a profitable niche. This is a big problem with podcasts. They have multiple niches. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Everybody pronounces it different. I've heard it niche. I've heard it niche. I've heard niches. I just heard niche with a plural. Anyway, not to digress, a lot of podcasts do not have a niche. I'll just say it that way. And you need to find your niche because your audience is also looking for a niche. They have problems. They want the problem solved. And I'm going to show you how to find that and how to tune it down. The more you tune down your niche, did I say that right? Your niche, the better you'll grow and faster. Now, create a podcast identity that stands out. That is the colors of your podcast. That is the artwork. That is you. What does the podcaster look like? And how you standing out. All right, let's go to the next one. We'll talk more about that last one in that episode. The best podcast format for you. Is it audio? Is it video? Is it both? And is it something else? And it's not clear cut. It's not video, audio. You might want to reach people who are driving to work in their car. It could be a video. They can listen to the video. We'll talk more about that. And how to structure the perfect episode. The episodes are very important. I have a lot of information to show you how to grow on your episodes. That's really important. Now, intros and outros that hook in 10 seconds. And let me make this very clear. Your intro should not be more than 10 seconds. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do another video where I'm not even sure you even need an intro anymore. I don't have an intro anymore in my podcast. I don't have an intro anymore in my podcast. Become a successful podcaster. But if you want an intro, keep it down to 10 seconds. My intro used to be 30 seconds. And that was not a good idea now that I think about it. And I'm going to show you why when we get to this video. And the perfect episode length for maximum listens. What is the perfect episode? Remember, there is retention. And that retention drops off. We'll talk about that. Consistency. That's your secret growth weapon. Really, really important. I'm going to show you how to be consistent. And with consistency comes algorithms on social media and comes audience retention and also superfans. All right, set up the next section. What's the perfect podcast equipment? This you may or may not need. You might already have this one. It's really important. And actually, you need a good microphone, something that's not overpriced and something that's not underpriced either. Like, don't podcast from your phone. It's not a great microphone. We'll talk about that. Recording software that makes you stand out as a professional. And these numbers are not right. So just ignore the numbers. How to make your voice sound studio quality anywhere. Sometimes I do that well and sometimes I don't. And I'll show you how to do that. Music, sound design, and energy flow. Do you want music on your podcast? Or maybe you don't want music on your podcast. But sometimes an all-talk podcast is not that exciting and it bores people. We'll talk about how to get that energy up whether you have music or not. Designing eye-catching podcast artwork. Very, very important. You're competing with 4 million podcasts, and you're also competing with even more on YouTube. So Your artwork has to stand out. I'll show you how to do that. How to plan a year of episodes in 1 hour. This is really important. Yes, we can use AI. You obviously can't do a year. I mean, if you come out with 1 episode a week, that's 52 a year. Yeah, you can do that yourself. But if you like to do 2 or 3 episodes a week, you're going to need some AI help. That's for sure. I'm going to actually help you with that. And that's Content Engine. That's really important. Okay? I don't know what's up with these numbers. Sorry about that. I had this done on Canva and I uploaded a CSV and with Bulk Create. But anyway, storytelling secrets to keep listeners hooked. Stories are very important. They're like case studies. We'll talk about that. And again, I just said here, using AI to generate endless episode ideas. Turning your audience questions into episodes. This is it's amazing, and you can get some free content ideas just from this. We'll talk about that. Content Engine, how to make your episode binge worthy. I just spoke about this both at Podcast Movement 2025 in Dallas and also at the Speak Podcasting Conference in Houston, Texas. That was run by my friend Freddie. And yeah, you definitely need to make your podcast episode binge worthy. I got a lot of information there. Okay, SEO and discoverability. What is up with these numbers? Wow. So podcast SEO basics. How Google ranks your show. That's important. You're competing with blog posts. You're competing with websites. You're competing with other podcasters. Let's get your episodes onto page 1 of Google. Keyword research for podcasters. I'm going to show you some free tools that are out there that will help you make your very next episode and your show notes. That's important too. Write titles and descriptions that rank on Google. I spoke about this very heavily in my session at Podcast Movement, and I'm going to show it to you here. Oh, by the way, there's another video here. I'm going to put the video to that as well. Okay? How to get your episodes on Google's first page. That's really important. We'll talk about that. YouTube SEO for podcasters, even your audio only. You don't need video if you're just a face in front of a video. You don't even, people are going to listen to you. This is a way to get your videos to more people than just watching a video. So the audio in your video on YouTube is very important, and SEO is just as good for that too. Okay, growth and community. We're going to promote your podcast on social media like a pro. I'm going to show you how to do that. And again, we're going to talk about technographics. What's the best social network for your show, your podcast? And also, another important thing here is what mobile devices are your podcast audience members using? That's really important. Okay, we're going to build an email list that actually grows your podcast. I do this with Become a Successful Podcaster, and it works amazingly well. And some of you are actually here because of my email list. All right, engaging with your listeners to create superfans. We'll talk about that. A lot of you are my superfans, and I love you. I love you all. And you're my community members. You're my subscribers. You're my superfans. That's just amazing. I want to help you with that, just as I'm succeeding as well. How to climb podcast charts and get featured. We have a bunch of those out there, and we're going to talk about those as well. And those charts are very competitive. All right, guesting and collaborating with your audience, and you can help explode your reach. That's important too. Engagement and retention. Now we're going to get to that. Okay, so we just came from growth and community. The next session is engagement and retention, and how to turn your listeners into subscribers. There is a difference. Somebody who listens might not subscribe to your podcast. You want them to be subscribers because your listeners can be subscribers. But your subscribers, let me try that again. Your subscribers can be listeners, but your listeners might not be subscribers. Okay. Creating challenges, polls, and giveaways. We're going to talk about that as well. Using calls to action that don't feel salesy. I see a lot of podcasters using calls to action that feel salesy. That is not very good. You lose your audience members, you lose your superfans, and you lose sales. We're going to talk about how you can sell and make money with your podcast through calls to action. And we'll talk more about that. Keeping your audience engaged between episodes. That is not easy. And that goes back to binge-worthy. We're going to make your podcast episodes binge-worthy. They have to be binge-worthy. I notice a lot of podcasters out there don't do this important step. They don't make their episodes engaging between each other. It's really important to do that. You'll lose your audience members if you don't. Build a podcast community on Discord or Patreon. You can do that. You can do it on Slack. I'll talk more about that. I don't use my podcast community on Discord, but I know a lot of podcasters that are doing it. Patreon is a great idea too, because you can make money that way, and you can even use Slack, as I said. Just use one tool. My community, what I use is I built a portal on the World Podcast Network, so I don't really need Discord or Patreon, but a lot of you probably can't build a portal. It takes programming and database programming and all that stuff. But you have it all for you right there with Discord and Patreon. I'll show you how to use those. Now, monetization. What you all want to know is how to make money on your podcast. All the ways to monetize your podcast. We're going to talk about those. It's going to be basically like a summary. And then we'll get into the details on getting sponsorships. Yes, I've had sponsors on my podcast and they pay me a good amount of money. And I've done some branding deals. And if you go back and listen to my older podcast episodes, you'll see I have some great sponsorships, and I'll talk to you about that after. By the way, on the World Podcast Network, you can make money with sponsorships. So you can set up, add your podcast for free at worldpodcast.network. All right. Now, making affiliate marketing work for your show. Affiliate marketing is huge. You can make up to 20 to 30% on sales, and they're free to join. I'm going to show you how to get into affiliate marketing and find the right one. I mean, there are thousands of affiliate programs out there. Most of you have heard of them. Most of you probably don't use them. I'm going to show you how easy they are to get into. Creating the digital products for your listeners. You want to make money? Okay. I mean, you can sell ebooks. You can sell PDFs. I'm going to show you how to put those together. I have made some money myself on becoming a successful podcaster, selling ebooks on how to succeed with your podcast. I mean, you might not listen to my podcast at that moment, but you can have the ebook. Why not? It's basically an extension of your business and your podcast. And I talked about Patreon before. We'll talk about them a little bit more on the monetization side, getting subscriptions, because maybe you want to hide some episodes from the public unless these people pay you for subscriptions. That works well. All right, analytics and scaling. Podcast analytics. What to track and why. And I'm talking about downloads, and I'm talking about listens and retention and demographics. It's all important. Improving retention with listener data. We'll talk about that. I use that heavily on YouTube and on Spotify. Using AI to automate podcast growth. Everybody's using AI now. Not everybody. I'm exaggerating when I say that, but a lot of podcasters are using AI. We got some really cool AI tools out there. Some of them are free. Some of them are paid. I'll show you which ones you could use. Using analytics to pick your next big topic. This is important. If your analytics are low for a particular topic, people don't stay on that topic anymore. Move to a very similar topic where the analytics are going to be better and people are going to engage. Analytics, by the way, is really that topic. Analytics as a topic is really it's basically the measure of your engagement. Let's put it that way. And I'll show you exactly how to use those to your advantage. Scaling your podcast into a network or a brand. I mean, this is what I did from the beginning. I've had the World Podcast Network for 20 years now. It's one of the first podcast networks in the world, worldpodcast.network. And if you don't want to do that, you can just brand your podcast. You can even do both. I mean, why not? I have both. So, all right, repurpose content for every platform. They do this on YouTube. You can take an old episode and update it. My biggest episode is from 2021. Yes, it's almost 4 years old. Right now, I'm recording this in late October 2025. So almost 4 years ago, I had episode 49, How to Become an Influencer Through Your Podcast, and still getting hundreds of downloads a day almost 4 years later. And it's still my biggest episode so far. And I'm sure that information is old. I mean, things change by the month in social media. So I'm definitely sure that you are probably can take some of your episodes and repurpose them for today and this year. Collaborations that explode audience growth. I collaborate with so many amazing podcasters out there. And if you do, you will also get more growth. It's really cool. Evergreen podcast marketing that works, okay? Evergreen, in case you don't know, that's content that could be used 50 years from now. It doesn't change, okay? A good example of what is evergreen content is something that you use your entire life, like a health podcast. You listen to a health podcast, you might have a problem with your heart. You might have a problem with some other part of your body, but the health information hasn't really changed all that much, and a health podcast is evergreen. How to play certain sports, like I know there are podcasters out there that show you how to play football and baseball and basketball. That hasn't really changed much. But what's not evergreen is technology. Technology is not evergreen. Why? Because technology changes like every single week. All right. If you do a podcast about AI, and we have a lot of AI podcasts on the World Podcast Network, that's not really evergreen content because we know AI is constantly changing. It's evolving. We know that the web is constantly changing. That's classified under technology. That's not going to really work very well. So that, you have to think about, is this podcast going to be relevant in the next 50 years? If so, yes, it's evergreen content. And that stays with people. So that's a good way to grow too. And by the way, we're in advanced growth if you haven't seen up here. All right, evolving your podcast without losing your audience. You have to change your podcast. Change the content, change the information that's out there. You have to search Google. I'm going to show you how to do all that, and you're going to succeed. Trust me. And building a podcast brand that will last for years, even if you don't have evergreen content. We'll talk about that. I'll show you. My podcast is not the same. Become a successful podcaster is not the same today as it was 4 years ago. Things change. And really, that's it. I want to know if you do any of these things in the comments. I also want to know if you, whatever you think. I mean, thumb up the video, like this video, and absolutely, I want to hear what you have. You can sign up your podcast for free on the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network. This is Bruce Chamoff. We're getting into this course right now.